Hello, my Teaserking family. Happy Memorial Day. I hope I keep my connection this time. I hope you're enjoying your day. I'm not expecting a lot of people to be on live, and maybe you can't watch the show today, but I'm going to do it anyway. Um, Bobby, Luke, happy Memorial Day. Um, Gold sitting there at 33.42, and again, I can see this 100% correlation of 33.42 and 33.48. I think it's just a coincidence. I don't know how they can possibly try to sync it up, but yeah, it's 100 times. And you can see, and this is my point, nobody is selling gold at 2 in the morning and at 5 in the morning, and then they're buying it back the rest of the day. I mean, this is nothing to do with sales. It's all to do with options and the just like the big uh, the housing market thing, whatever that's called. I want to say the big chill, but it's not that. It's just people doing options and derivatives. It's all bullshit, right? It's not real. They're just betting with paper. But when you bet a football game and you lose, you got to pay them. When you bet this and you lose, you got to pay them. So you're doing a lot of gambling. And it's amazing how people don't understand what gambling is. People in the stock market now, people in gold right now, people with the baseball cards. Let me get my cards. People in Bitcoin. They're all gambling. I mean, if you're risking money to make money, you're gambling. So by definition, holding holding Bobby Orr, I'm still gambling. I don't know what it's worth. I got to get it graded, but let's say it's 100,000. If it's a 10, let's say it's a 9. This is a $10,000 card. I'm still gambling that the price will hold or go up versus the price going down. But what triggers prices is demand and supply. There's not a lot of these in 9 or 10 condition. Is there a lot of demand? Hell yes, it's Bobby Orr. So that's less of a gamble because you know demand. You're basing it on demand. If I have a product to market, will will the market like it? And usually you look at competition and say, yes, the market likes whiskey. I put this out and the market will at least try it, or those uh, Canadian club uh, people will definitely take it. I was talking about basketball. And in basketball, it was a strange game again. Indy's up 20. We debated on this. The Knicks needed to win the game, but because they lost game 2, a game they had to win at home, I thought, well, they'll probably keep it close, but they're not going to win game 3. But they did win game 3, but apparently they were down 20 points, I think the fourth quarter, and came storming back to win. I blame that on coaching. I blame that on the 3-point shot. If you continually feed the ball in the paint, you're going to get fouled. They're not going to come back from 20 down on you. However, when you keep shooting 3-point shots with the 20-point lead, not only should your coach be fired, but you're out of your minds because they're very hard. This is my point. Just because you get 3 points versus 2, the odds on you getting 3 are like maybe 15, 20%. And the odds on you getting a basket in the paint or getting fouled are probably like 95%. So do you want you want to shoot in the paint, or you want to shoot um or you want to shoot or go to the foul line? Shooting 3-point shots, you're not going to the line and you're going to miss a lot more, especially the 20-point lead. You actually have pressure on you to make it. You start missing, now the pressure mounts. How you lose these leads are because you're not getting the ball in the paint and you're not shooting layups and you're not dunking the ball. Very high percentage shots that really aren't a lot of they're not a lot of stress. If I miss it, we can get the rebound, or I'm close. Maybe I get fouled. Shooting a 3-point shot, you're screwed. So I think without even watching that, that's my guess is they're shooting a lot of 3-point shots and missing a lot of 3-point shots, which is how you get back in the game by 20. You need misses, and then they're not playing defense when you're shooting 3-point shots. So it's a very stupid coaching. They need to be fired. The Boston coach needs to be fired, and this one, if that's what they're doing, shooting a lot of 3-point. Otherwise, I don't know how you blow a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter. The team hits a three. Okay, first of all, I'd be guarding the 3-point line, and then if they hit a two, who cares? And then I would be getting the ball in the paint, getting fouled, or making layups and dunks. So are the games fixed? Boy, I don't know. That's a stretch because they're down 20 points. I think in a fixed game, they would just be getting blown out. I would think they'd be getting blown out from the start. They wouldn't be getting blown out. They wouldn't be losing the lead in the fourth quarter. That comes into more. You can win, but you can't win by more than 7. Anyway, I don't think they're fixed. I just think it's terrible coaching, and they don't know what they're doing. So with that said, it's very hard to bet basketball when you got idiots running it. And unfortunately, most sports have idiots running it. Stock market's closed today. I don't know why the gold market is on now, because I can't imagine the U.S. is open on Memorial Day. Anyway, we'll see. So NBA, the Knicks must win game. They had to win game 2 and lost, so I'm kind of surprised. I looked at the score, and Indy was up 20, and I go, okay, this one we won. And again, it was a very small bet. Minnesota, I like big. This is OKC minus 2.5. I like Minnesota tonight to even the series. They showed you what they do at home, and now they have the confidence to beat them in OKC on the road. Look for this game to go to 7. Look for Minnesota to win tonight. Oklahoma City, it sets it up beautifully. Oklahoma City, we jump on in game 5. Minnesota game 6, Oklahoma City game 7. This is what I like. And when Minnesota can beat them, but they're going to beat them at home. So that's the play there. Major League Baseball, I know a couple games have started already. And we've got Detroit 3-0 over the Niners. This is the game I would have taken over because of the pitching. Bullpen guy for the Niners, and Detroit had one of their scrums pitching. Milwaukee won over Boston. The Cubbies won over Colorado. So we would have taken the Cubbies to beat Colorado because Colorado's terrible. All right, 3:05. So we got a half hour here. St. Louis at Baltimore. St. Louis won 15-9. And then we'll get to yesterday's games. St. Louis won 15-9. We've got Eric Fetty, 3-3 with 3.77 against Charlie Morton, 0-7 with the 7.68. So we're going to be all over St. Louis. With that, they're only 115, so I think that's a pretty good bet. Here you're just betting against the pitching. Morton, why are you pitching the guy? He's 0-7 with the 7.68. Why is he on the mound? So you're just giving up? We're gonna lose with this idiot pitching? Terrible managing. Toronto, Texas. Texas minus 140-7. Kevin Gausman 4-4 with the 4.03. Jacob DeGrom 4-1 with the 2.33. We're going Texas 2 units. DeGrom. And with the total of 7, I would go under with DeGrom, but we'll just play DeGrom. He's been red hot. The White Sox at the Mets. The Mets 285, 8.5. Adrian Hauser 1-0 with an O. Clay Holmes 5-3 with the 3.13. Yeah, well, we'll go with the Mets. We'll go 2 units on them. 2 units on Texas. Cincinnati and Kansas City. Joe Burrow against Mahomes. I like it already. Cincinnati's favored, which you'll never see Mahomes as a home dog, 7.5. Nick Martinez, 2-5 with a 3.43. Mike Lorenzen, 3-5 with a 3.77. So we got to go to batting to really figure out. Kansas City's got 5 hitters, and Cincinnati's got 5 hitters. So let's go over 7.5. And I will have to update. I think tonight I will update changes. There's still a little bit of changes. There's some injuries, so we have to figure out how many hitters we've got. But it's such a hard one because even if you have 6 hitters, they don't all hit every day, and it's an average. So some days they do well and some they don't. The Dodgers at Cleveland, very interesting. Cleveland showed big bullpen, and they have that one superstar in their team, I think Ramirez. And the Dodgers, no pitching. Dodgers are 160 and a 7.5. Yashibo Yakamoto, 5-3 with a 1.86 against Gavin Williams, 4-2 with the 3.94. How good is this Yokozimo guy? 5-3, the 1.86. Well, he's given up. He shut out Arizona and gave up 3 runs to Oakland, 5 runs to Arizona, 3 runs to Pitt. So he's had a few bad outings. He did get a shutout. The last time he shut out Atlanta, shut out Texas, 3 runs to Pittsburgh. So he's pretty rocky. He's got Cleveland, who doesn't hit a ton. And Cleveland, we know, doesn't hit. Gavin Williams. So we're going to go under here. Cleveland's got a great bullpen. So Cleveland under 7.5. Now, we're not going to bet it because LA can hit the ball, as we know, but we'll leave it alone. Minnesota, Tampa. Tampa minus 120.9. Chris Paddock, 2-4 with the 3.98. Zach Littell, 3-5 with the 4.25. Mini in Tampa. Tampa with 4 hitters. Mini with 4 hitters. Tampa's been hitting the ball lately. It's at Tampa. Let's go over. I don't love it, so we're not going to bet it. I mean, it's a hard one. You got 2 pitchers with roughly a 4 ERA, and it could be they pitch well or they could pitch shitty today. And that's really the hard part about these 4.0 pitchers. Which one are you getting? The guy who shuts you out or the guy that gives up 5 runs? And the same thing with the bullpen. Pitt at Arizona. Andrew Haney, 3-3 with a 2.91 against Ryan Nelson, 1-1 with the 4.60. Pitt's got a little better ERA. Arizona's a huge favorite, 1.90 and 9.5. Pitt just doesn't hit. I'm going to go under 9.5. I mean, Pitt's got a lot of hitting problems. They just don't score a lot. Miami, San Diego, Marino against Dan Fouts in this one. San Diego 145, 7.5. Ryan Weathers 1-0 with the 1.80, and Randy Vasquez 3-4 with the 3.49. What you want to do? Total of 7.5. San Diego just isn't hitting. Miami hits sometimes. I'm just coming to a blank here. I'm going to go over 7.5, and I don't like it. I just see the low number, and I don't see the great pitcher. Ryan Weathers is obviously a bullpen guy. In our last game, the Yanks at California, the Yanks 165-10. Ryan Yarbrough 1-0 with the 3.38. Jack Canacano, it's 3-5 with the 5.03. We're going Yankees, and that'll be 2 units. That'll be a bet. So, St. Louis, Texas, 2 units. Jacob deGrom, we'll bet that. The Mets, 2 units. We'll bet that. KC over 7.5. Cleveland under 7.5. Tampa Bay over 9. Pitt under 9.5, San Diego over 7.5, and the Yanks 2 units. So the three bets: Texas with DeGrom, the Mets 2 units, and the Yankees 2 units. We're betting against kind of who's terrible. And that's it. So not a lot. Detroit's up 3-0 in the sixth, and Milwaukee's up 1-0. Detroit just got 3. Detroit's not that good of a team. So here's what a problem with Torkelson. He's 1-for-1 with 2 walks. And you sit there like he's supposed to be a power hitter, but he walks he looks for walks. He takes a called strike 3 to get a walk, and this is the problem. But I don't know. We will see. Yeah, I like the game over because of Montero is terrible with the 5 ERA. He's already out of the game. In 5 innings, he gave up 1 hit, 2 walks. I'm surprised he's out of the game in 5 innings. He pitched 80 pitches in 5 innings. Who cares? Otis Birdsong for the Niners, 2.48 ERA, gave up 3 runs in 4 innings. So it's like a 6 ERA. Let's see. So I would have bet over. What's the line? Pre-game odds. Where the hell did it go? Well, I had pregame odds. I don't know where they went. I think Detroit was 8. Well, San Francisco scored a run, so it's 3-1 now. It doesn't. Yeah, that's the Phillies they're showing. Why are they showing the 5? So the 49ers don't wear red? Well, I don't know where my pregame, I think it went away. I think when the inning starts, it goes away, but I can't see it. Well, I think it was 8. So we'll say 8. It's 3-1. Detroit's at 4. All right. And Milwaukee's up 1-0 on Boston. All right. The Cubs, I would have bet the Cubs over Colorado. Since Colorado stinks. All right. So that's baseball. We talked about NBA. Let's look at NFL. Rodgers drops another hint that he's going to sign with the Steelers. Steelers owner says his team is willing to wait a little while longer for Rodgers to make it. Well, he's got DK Metcalf. They have a very good defense. They have running. I don't think Rodgers wants to waste his time. He wants to go to a team that with him they could make, do good in the playoffs. With this defense and J.J. Watt, they added a few guys, and with the running game, they switched the running game. They added DK Metcalf. You put Rodgers in there, they might do well, but they have such a bad offensive coordinator. I don't know if they got rid of him or not. And they were talking about the 4 first-year defensive coordinators, and they all suck. Oh, my God. Chicago, Detroit. I don't remember the other 2, but they're in big trouble. We have talked about week one. As I said, I will update it right now as it stands. Now, if Rodgers signs with Pittsburgh, we got to look at the Pittsburgh game totally differently. He's still a very good quarterback. Don't fool yourself. Don't listen to the media. Oh, he's this, he's that. Guy's a superstar. He's a Hall of Famer. Give him credit. Don't worry about his age. He knows what he's doing. He's a very good quarterback. Probably doesn't like the offensive coordinator, which I wouldn't either. I think Minnesota made the problem. They should have let him start there. You don't know what you got with McCarthy, but you do know what you got with Aaron Rodgers. And I think that's a huge mistake. So he'll probably go to Pitt because they're another team like Minnesota. Plus, you have Justin Jefferson. He'd have caught 500 passes with Rodgers. I mean, this is ridiculous. J.J. McCarthy is a terrible quarterback. Anyway, I might do college today. I'm going to go to the lake after this. So I was at swimming. They closed at 1:30. So I got there about 11:30, something like that, and got my swim in. And now, so today's a backwards day. Get the swimming in, now doing the class, then going to the lake. Dinner's already made. The other day I made a roast. So I'm eating it a little at a time. I had a salad and a roast for lunch. That's about it. So that's okay. Daria, I think, is home for the holiday, or home from the hospital. She let me believe that she was going, leaving on Monday, and yesterday she sent me pictures. It's always a mystery. I don't hear from her Saturday, and then I hear from her Sunday, and then I haven't heard from her today, and you're like, I guess she's home, but you don't know what it is. She might not talk to me that much in front of her friends or something, which is understandable. I know when I'm with Alyssa, I'm not sitting there talking to Daria. I know with Jenna, she got mad when I was texting Daria. So usually when you're with your friends, you give them the attention. I'm a little different. I don't really care. Anyway, so that's that. As we learn more football, we'll take a look at it. I think at the lake, I will fill in college football, get that going. I've got my week one up and ready, and I think I will look at that and look at the week one and then try to figure out who the quarterbacks are going to be. I mean, before you never had this problem knowing who's the quarterback and who isn't, but now we have that problem. More work for the professor to try to figure out how to. Now, fortunately, because I know every team each year and I know their quarterback when he does transfers, such as Uglia Buglia went from Oregon State to Florida State, we were ready to bet against Florida State, and we hammered them and won a lot of money betting against them, which is a lot of the key to my what do you call it? My strategy. You bet on, it's all art of war. You bet on the real good players, Lawrence Taylor, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, and you bet against Uglia Buglia and even, some of these other guys that are just not good. You bet against them. You always find the Z teams. You bet against them, or you bet the overs in that. We hit the over on Texas State and whoever the Z team they were playing, and they won by 50 points. And people don't understand, how could you pick that game? Well, it was easy because I bet a good offense against the Z team. It's a piece of cake. But you got to have that strategy, and that's where I can critically think. I did not see the vampire today. If I saw him, I would have told him to fuck off. He drained me the other day, and you're still just, he was wrong about the Roman Empire. It wasn't 1,700 years. It was 700. It was, I believe, 250 BC to 450 AD. So it's roughly 700 years. I don't know where he's getting 1,700 from. And then he makes it sound like he knows what he's talking about. And this is really the danger of most people. When we start talking gold, people think they know about it. Oh, it's in a bubble. Oh, when are you going to sell it? They don't get the concept. I don't want to sell it because I don't want to end up back in here. This is what's crashed. So I don't want to be in dollars. I'm getting out of the dollars. I'm getting out of the Titanic. And that's why I try to keep it simple as possible. Everybody can relate to the Titanic. It's sinking, you get off. The dollar is sinking, you get off. But you don't want to go back into it. You don't want to sell gold and silver to get back into it. Not a very wise move. So this is what people don't get, but it's very hard to teach them. And there's people that want to learn, and then people who just want to be negative and defiant. If you say it's blue, I'm going to say it's green. And that's really what you have to watch out for. And this guy, if I say blue, will say green. So I don't want to see him. I don't want to talk to him again. I will not talk to him again. He's just looking for an argument to try to prove he's right. He made a thing about, well, did I learn Austrian economics from Hayek? And I said, no, I learned from Adam Smith. And he gave me like, oh, well, how can you say you're Austrian economics if you didn't learn from Hayek? Well, Hayek isn't the teacher. The teacher's Adam Smith. And then you get Say's law, and then you get some other laws into it. But I learned from my teacher in my master's program. And we read a little bit of Milton Friedman. This is not Milton Friedman I'm quoting. Basically, this is Adam Smith. All those laws that I tell you, what's a good country, what's a good money, is Adam Smith. So I don't pretend. It's really not important who said it. It's the law that they're saying. That's what you're really, the point is, like sometimes I don't have some statistics, but I know inflation is in prices, and that's all I care about. And then money printing is inflation. That's all I care about, the concepts. That's what I understand and know. I don't know if Hayek is Austrian or not. I don't really care. I did not study Hayek. I looked through all my notes. I saw two things on Hayek, on some minute things that I didn't read. I think I did get the Hayek book, but I didn't read the book. But he's not who I'm studying. I mean, basically it's that whole Adam Smith thing I showed you on YouTube, and I can re-show it, where he says he's a scone, and then everybody wants scones, and then they have more bakeries, and then more farmers have to make wheat because the demand for cupcakes and scones has gone up. And then they figure out the prices. So the whole thing's Adam Smith. You don't want inflation, we know. So then he said about the Federal Reserve, and you're scratching your head going, this guy could be the stupidest guy. Now here he said something which I did show about thinking gold is in a he's thinking gold's in a what do you call it, a bubble. No, that's not it. Hmm. I thought I saved it. But I guess not. Anyway, here's the explanation for a bubble. What is a bubble in finance terms, which is what I Googled? And the exact definition in finance, a bubble refers to a situation where the price of an asset like stocks, real estate, or commodities, which is gold, rises rapidly and significantly above its intrinsic value, often driven by speculation and hype. This unsustainable increase in price is usually followed by a sharp decline or crash, causing losses for investment. A rapid price increases. Prices rise quickly, often outpacing the fundamentals. That is not what's happening in gold. It is what's happening in Bitcoin and stocks. Overvaluation. The asset's price is significantly higher than its true or fundamental value. We don't know what the true and fundamental value of gold is. It's certainly not over that. Speculative demand driven by speculation in the hope of making quick gains rather than the actual price of the asset. That's Bitcoin. That's stocks. That is not gold. Euphoria and hype, a sense of excitement and optimism surrounds the asset, often fueled by media attention and get rich quick narratives. That's Bitcoin. That's stocks. That is not gold. Fear of missing out. Investors are pressured to buy, fearing they will miss out on potential profits if they don't. No. Again, that's Bitcoin and stocks. Inherent instability. The unsustainable price increase makes the asset vulnerable to a collapse. Bitcoin stocks. Crash and bust. The bubble eventually bursts, causing prices to plummet and potential leading to financial losses and economic downturns. Example of bubbles: Tulip Mania with Holland, South Sea Bubble. The British South Sea Company led to a market crash, the dot-com bubble, and the real estate bubble of 2008, which is everybody buying houses, not understanding the adjustable rate and not understanding it really wasn't the price. They just thought they'd make money and buy it like a stock. Um, What does bubble mean in finance? Economic bubble, also called a speculative bubble or finance bubble, is a period when current asset prices greatly exceed their intrinsic value, being the valuation that the underlying long-term fundamentals justify. So does that sound like gold? Well, we don't know what this price is, but the fact it went from 2000 to 3000, is that a bubble? Or is anything that goes up bubble? Well, no, because gold is not speculation. Nobody's speculating that the gold price is 3,300 has gone up without really the value going up. No, the value is just getting where it is. If where's my Joe Montana card? I don't have it. Bobby Orr, let's say he's, I don't know, I can't find a PSA 10 of this. Let's say he's 100 grand. Is that speculation? No. That's a PSA 10 because it's low in demand and the intrinsic value is 100 grand. I mean, Rolexes, things do go up in value. Does not, just because things go up in value doesn't mean it's a bubble. The bubble is caused by, look at Bitcoin. Oh, I'm going to get rich. Nobody knows why it goes up. Nobody even knows it's real, but I'm going to get rich in it. That's a bubble, right? Because they're buying it to get rich. We don't know what the intrinsic value of Bitcoin. We don't know any value of Bitcoin because it's not real. So that's what this. So if this, let's say the intrinsic value of this is $100, it's 12-year-old Canadian club, and all of a sudden it's going for $1,000 because people can make money on it. That's a bubble. But if it just goes up because of demand, and now hey, we can sell this for 200. That's what it's worth. That's what the bottle. That's not a bubble. So people get confused by what a bubble is. Oh, you better sell your stock because of the bubble. There's no bubble because, if anything, it's priced fixed down. JP Morgan's keeping the price down. That's the whole point. I mean, when I show you this, look at, so what's happening from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. It goes from 33.47 to 33.27. It goes down $20. Well, that's not a bubble. And then it goes up from 27 to 42. It goes up $15. This is not what a bubble is. And certainly this is not a bubble. So if it's being price fixed down, how can it be a bubble? And the fact it went from 2,000 to 3,000, it's not because I'm going to get rich. It's not people buying it just, to make money. People are buying it to get out of the dollar. So they're buying the gold. It's not running up for no reason. It's running up because the dollar's collapsing. So therefore, how can it be in a bubble? Even when it goes to 10,000, it's not in a bubble. Gold will never be in a bubble because you're buying it to get out of the dollars. It's strictly demand. It's strictly this is what it's worth, which we don't know. Now, if it shot off from 10 to 25 grand in a week, that's panic, but I wouldn't even consider that a bubble. Now, it might get pulled down a little, but I don't think, because of the gold is real, the physical gold, it's real, and the demand is there as all the central banks are buying it. That is not a bubble. It's when it's for investment purposes. It's when it's for, let's read these things again. So it's rapid price increase. We haven't had that. Overvaluation. It's certainly not overvalued. Speculative demand. That's Bitcoin. That is not gold. Your euphoria and hype. That sounds like Bitcoin. But the thing is, we don't know what Bitcoin's worth because it's not real. We don't know what gold's worth, but we know it's low because they've been pushing it down, but we know what it looks like. Fear of missing out. Nobody's afraid of missing out in gold. A little bit, I'd say silver maybe, but it hasn't gone anywhere. But again, that's because of JP Morgan keeping the price down. So when silver goes from 33 to 100, is that a bubble? No. It's just getting rid of the derivatives. Inherent instability, the unsustainable price increase makes the asset vulnerable to a collapse. Would gold be unsustainable? No, because the dollars are going out. The demand hasn't even hit yet. Crash and bust, the bubble eventually bursts, causing prices to plummet. That'll never happen to gold. As long as you have demand and people want gold, you're not going to get it because we know what the value, we know the value is low. In Bitcoin, that's an example of Bitcoin. People, it's going to, as Luke said a couple of days ago, it's going to 200,000 or 150,000. I'm buying it because I don't want to miss out. It's going to go up. What's the real value? You have no idea. What's it really look like? You have no idea. Is it even real? You have no idea. Gold, you know what it looks like. You know that it's undervalued because it's been held down. Now, if you didn't have COMEX holding it down and gold was $15,000 now, it could be in a little bubble, but because it's been held down and it moves to 10 grand, that's probably what its normal price should be, between 10 and 20 grand, but not including all these dollars going out, right? The euro, the US dollar are bankrupt, and China's bankrupt, as I put in. Japan, we saw, is bankrupt, and they're all got to run into gold. So no, gold is nowhere near a bubble. People are not getting in because they're going to be rich on it. If anything, they're getting out $1 to, it's as Egon always says, it's not a speculative, it's preservation, it's wealth preservation, and maybe that's why he says it, to keep it from being a bubble. If you say, we're going to make $1 million in gold, and you buy it because it's going to make $1 million, or it's going to go up to $1 million, that could be a bubble. That could be speculation, but you're not speculating in gold. Now, we're smart enough to realize gold's going up in value. I mean, we're not idiots here. We know that it's going up. So when it goes from 2,000 to 3,000, it's it's not even close to where it's going. When silver is $33, I thought I saved this page. All right, when silver goes from 33 to 100, is that a bubble? Absolutely not, because it's been price fixed. Silver should be about $400 or $500 now, especially at that 10-to-1 ratio. Gold's at gold's at 33.42. If gold's at 33.42, then silver should be 334. 10, 1 in 10. So if silver went up to 300, would not be in a bubble. It's very hard to put this in a bubble. Call gold and silver in a bubble when it's been repressed and depressed for so long by JP Morgan. So there's no way that's a bubble. And that's where it is. Even like I said, the Brady card, let's say this is 100 grand. It's only 399 of them. So let's say this PSA 10 is, let's say it's 50 grand. Is that in a bubble? No, because that's what the market is saying. So there's a whole different atmosphere between an asset and any of these cards. Is this card in a bubble? No, because it's being bought and sold on eBay in a market, whatever the value is the value. Unless you're paying a lot more, because you see it's mostly Bitcoin. We don't want to miss it, and we think it's going to be much higher in value. That's how a bubble is. So Bitcoin is a bubble. The stocks are in a bubble. They're at 41, 42,000. They're not worth it. If something is not worth, so if they're being bid up, but you don't actually have anything, it's being bid up, that's a bubble. But you actually have the gold, okay, we actually have the Brady card, and we go on eBay, and whatever it says, that's the value. That is not a bubble. That's not going to crash, because a bubble is something that people realize, oh, Bitcoin really isn't anything, or the stocks 1921, they were overvalued, and they started to crash. They went from 290 to 29. But they realized they weren't really worth what they said. So is gold worth what it says? Is gold worth 3,300? Absolutely. Is gold worth 10,000? Absolutely. We don't really know what gold's worth, but we know it's being held down. And if it gets bid up by China and Russia, and the rest of the central banks are demanding it at any price, it's not a bubble. So be very careful on that. If somebody calls it a bubble and you're sitting there going, well, shit, maybe I should sell it. Right now, the most important thing you should know are these are worth nothing. These are worthless. So if you want to sell your gold, you bought it at 1,700, you bought it at 1,000, and now it's 33.30, and you bought it. Remember, if you sell it, you go back into jail, back to hell, because these aren't worth anything. That's the difference. So if you understand this one key concept, these are overprinted and they have no value. And if you sell your gold, you get back into that, then you'll never sell it. Maybe we sell our gold when BRICS takes over, and then we get gold's 10,000 an ounce. Now maybe you sell it, but you're only going to sell it for a gold-backed BRICS currency, right? China, Russia, India, whoever's in BRICS, whoever has that BRICS gold-backed currency, then maybe you'll sell it. But there's no point in selling it to get back onto the Titanic. You want to get off the boat and stay off the boat. But Bitcoin, you're just in it because you think it's going to go higher. But we don't know what the value of Bitcoin is. And that's the biggest thing. It's not backed by anything. So what's Bitcoin? I have no idea. That's why I'm not buying it. Plus, I don't know what it is. I can't put it in my hand and see it and touch it. That's the problem with Bitcoin. So I'm happy if you are in at, $2 and now it's worth 100,000 and you made 100,000. At the what point do you sell? You can't, because you don't really know what the real value is. You're just following along, going, oh, it went up, it went up. Yeah, it's Larry Fink, it's the Russian mafia. You want to play with those boys? You know they're going to win and you're going to lose because they control everything. So be very careful of that. But that is what a bubble is. So when the vampire said we're in a bubble, he thinks just because the price of gold goes up, even though it went up because of demand from all the BRICS countries, central banks, and China, and the shadow banks and the private banks and Putin's swimming pool, even though everybody's buying it, he thinks it's a bubble because that's what made it go up. And that's really how stupid he is. But be careful. That's why we don't really want to listen to non-gold people. They won't get it. And a guy like this will just, with lies, oh, the Roman Empire's 1700. No, it was seven. Oh, you're in a bubble. No, we're not in a bubble. Bitcoin's in a bubble. The stock market's in a bubble. I'm not sure the housing market's in a bubble, but it's not going to go up. It's going to come down. So once you understand that, then you're fine. We talked about Japan collapsing. They're buying their own bonds, means nobody wants them. See, this is how the US dollar is going to go out, and the euro. The way the government works is they keep adding government jobs to stimulate the economy because they're Keynesians. Keynesians believe in government printing money to keep the economy going. They don't believe in savings. And so what you have if we just look at the US, we have our government's too big. So how do we pay the government employees and their pensions? We print money. They don't generate any revenue because they don't sell anything. So you have something that costs you a lot that you don't get any revenue in. What is that? At least Ford and GM, they make cars. They sell cars and then they pay their employees. Oh, okay. Well, that's a business, but the government's not a business. So how do you pay everybody? You offer treasury bills, T-bills. He said, I'll pay you 5% in 5 years and 10 years. And Japan and China are buying it, saying, okay, we got all this money from you with our trade wars because you're buying all our goods in US dollars. And then we take our US dollars and we've been buying treasuries with them because we got to get rid of them. The US dollar in China is worthless. You can't buy anything with it. You have to exchange it into yuan, which is the Chinese dollars. I think they call them the renminbi, but it's the same thing, the yuan. And because of that, they buy treasuries, but now they realize the dollar's worthless and they don't want to hold and go broke. This is like the Madoff thing, right? Well, I kept holding Madoff, and you just didn't understand with the housing crisis coming that Madoff is going to go out. Even if he was real and he was making these incredible trades where he was hitting every one, which we know is not possible, he still would have gotten screwed by the housing market because the market did tank and there's nothing he could do about it. And I don't think he's shorting the market. I don't think he was that adept at that. So basically, even if Madoff was real, you're going to lose. So you pull your money out of Madoff. It's like a mutual fund. If you really wanted to get critique on it, he's investing and making money and giving you 15%, which made no sense. But okay, you're stupid. You don't understand. You stay in Madoff. But with this housing crisis coming, and you could have saw it, a lot of people were going bankrupt and a lot of these things were going out. You would have pulled your money. Hence, up to today, even if everything's fine, you still want to get out of dollars because you can see it's cracking, it's collapsing. And so what's going to happen is, here's BRICS, everybody's going to gold-backed currency. And put it like this: what would you rather own, a Chinese gold-backed $100 bill or a US non-gold-backed piece of monopoly money $100 bill. And that's really that's like as easy as I can explain it. Who is going to want a worthless $100 bill that we owe $37 trillion in debt? So you're not going to get paid back for it, or own a gold backed currency. Basically, you're owning gold. Well, what would you rather own? Of course. And that's why the dollar and the euro and the Swiss franc and the British pound will all go out, because when it comes down to it, you're going to want the gold. Everybody will. And that's the point of it. So I'm going to buy from China and get gold, and Saudi Arabia wants to sell to China and get gold. They don't want to sell to the US and get monopoly money. And that's what's going to go on with all these. Russia's going to trade oil to India for gold and China for gold. And and then China will take their gold and buy Saudi Arabia oil. But nobody's going to want non-gold backed currency. And we already see why. It's printed, it's worthless, it's hyperinflated. So that's really what's going to kill the dollar and the euro. And that's what's killing all these, the yuan, the yen, and the ruble and the Swiss franc. They're all dead because none of them are backed by gold. And that's why every country's bankrupt. They just won't say. What are they going to say? Yeah, we fucked up. We bankrupt the country. So the Scott Hamilton, the Treasury Secretary, is an idiot. Doesn't even have an economy degree. Oh, but he does work for George Soros. Do you trust George Soros? I don't think so. You don't trust Nazis. So that's the problem. And he's an idiot, and they're bankrupting the US. Trump's going along with it. He has no idea. Well, let's do a tariff. Oh, wait, we can't do it. We'll do the tariff. Wait, we got to recall it because, oh yeah, we only buy from China. And I just fucked them all out of the tariff, that nobody can make any of the products because it's too expensive because of our tariff. But geez, I was trying to get the $37 trillion through tariffs that we owe on the debt. Yeah, but it doesn't work that way. You got to lower, or you got to get rid of the tariffs and come up with some small tax. Maybe you tariff them at 5% or something where, okay, we'll sell it, we'll get the 5%, and then you go from there. So as I will show you in this video, China is so here's China. $8 trillion just disappeared. China is broke. China's in a tax crisis. It's basically their housing. It's basically Evergrande. Evergrande, those people aren't working. Everybody lost their money. So because it's a domino effect. The builders aren't working. The plumbers aren't working. The electricians aren't working. Nobody can build a house. So they're all not working. That's less taxes that China collects. So their $8 trillion gone. China's fucked. But China's got 60,000 tons of gold. And as long as China has 60,000 tons of gold, they're okay. They don't need the tax. But as we saw, all the people are leaving. The vampire said, oh, that's an old video. And I'm watching the video and it says, well, in 2023 and 2024, they did this. So it's not an old video. But again, he just assumes it's an old video because it fits his agenda. Hey, look, that's why China's empty, is because this is COVID. No, it was yesterday. It's 2023, 2024, and today. So then so China's gone and Japan's gone. Everybody's gone, right? Understand that these countries are going bankrupt, which means they're not going to make things and they're not going to buy things. Well, that's how an economy works. You make something, somebody buys it. I might have this Tom Brady car, which might be worth, I don't know, $35,000. But if there's nobody to buy it, it isn't worth anything. So if China makes all these cars or makes computers or chips and nobody's there to buy it, doesn't matter. You have no market. If you have no market, you have no economy. And then you can't get taxed because nobody's working. So China's really fucked. This is yesterday. Now we're going to play Trump erupts as Walmart cuts. So Walmart is doing price increases and cutting employees because they get all their goods from China. China can't make them because of these tariffs. Trump doesn't understand anything and is listening to Scott Hamilton, doesn't know what he's doing, and therefore he's fucking Walmart's going out. Where are we going to buy our stuff? If Walmart goes out, we're certainly not going to go to the higher end Kroger's. They're going to raise their prices. So what do? Okay, maybe we go to Meijer's, the dollar store. Even the dollar store is raising. I went into the dollar store last week and figuring everything's a dollar. And nothing. I bought more coconut oil and it was like $5-6 for. I'm thinking, wait a minute, I thought everything in the store is a dollar. Nothing was a dollar in the store. I don't know why it's called a dollar store. It's not dollar items, which is what it used to be. So here's the thing on Walmart.
Out in the wild, anything can happen. Someone dangerous. That's why we made this, the hiking safety tool. Strong enough to...
Walmart just raised prices. Then it fired 1,500 employees. And Trump? He's furious, publicly accusing America's biggest retailer of betrayal. This isn't politics. It's a $648 billion pressure cooker blowing its lid. What if this is the moment the entire U.S. economy flinches? Because behind those layoffs is a deeper crack, one that Wall Street's watching,
1,500
consumers are feeling,
jobs.
and Washington can't control. If Walmart, the king of low prices, can't survive Trump's trade war, who's next? And what's about to break? On May 17th, Trump took to Truth Social, accusing Walmart of betraying American consumers after the company raised prices due to surging import tariffs. They're hiding behind tariffs, he wrote, warning the retail giant to eat the cost or face public fallout. But that message collided with hard math and a politically inconvenient...
Okay, eat the tariffs. I'm sure they are eating some of the tariffs, but that's why you lay off 1,500 people. Again, you're in business. So Walmart's in business. They buy it at 1 and sell it at 2. And if you raise 1 to 2, I buy it at 2, I sell it at 2. Well, I don't make any money. In fact, I lose money. So now I have to either raise prices to 3 if the market will let me, but the market won't let me. So if I can't raise the price to 3, I have to lay off people. So they're doing a little of both. Well, we're going to raise the prices for maybe to 2.5, and I'm going to lay off 1,500 jobs. Now, I don't know what these jobs are. It's pretty self-sufficient, except for you need people to put the stock on the shelves, right? At the end of the day, you need that. You might not need cashiers because everything's just an electric cashier now where you just scan you're the cashier. But I was just there the other day and I got 10 avocados at $1 a piece. And it was like, wait, you need an assistant because we're not sure how many avocados you put in your bag. You said 10, but I take it and I just drop it in I don't say here's one. I take 4 or 5, and I fill my bag, but there's 10. I'm not cheating, but it's hard to watch it. Well, we need an assistant. Well, you're so worried I'm stealing that's ridiculous. But you're asking me how many, and I'm saying 10, but I'm not going to show you 10 of them. Anyway, so you need assistance for that and a few other items. I mean, it's really crazy. But okay, you can raise avocados from $1 to $1.10. Okay, that'll help. I'll still buy them there. But a lot of the items are cheaper to get you in when things don't matter. Ice cream, butter, salad, like cans. It's 50 cents cheaper at Walmart for the same freaking product. Of course, I'm going to buy that. So what choice does Walmart have? You've raised my cost because of your stupid tariff. China's now raising the price because they have to, because for China, it was 50 cents and now you've given this big tariff. It now costs them $1. So they got to at least get their dollar. They got to get their $1.50 for their dollar. We have to get, if it's two, we need $2.50 for our $2. Otherwise, you're not in business, right? And that's where McDonald's and Wendy's are going. Their costs have gone up, but they cannot pass the price on to the consumer. We are not paying $10 for a hamburger and fries at McDonald's. You don't feed your family of four for 40. When you used to paying $20 for your family. You're used to $5 a meal. A burger, fries, and a drink was $5, maybe $6. Now it's what, $15? You're going to feed a family of four for $50, $60? No way. I can go to Coney, I can go to barbecue, and it's cheaper there. And I'm getting a much better meal. So again, you're squeezing, because the way business works, it's cost plus my 20%. That's what I'm going to sell it for. So if it's $1, I got to sell it for at least $1.25, because I got to make. I'm not in business to lose money or for charity or to break even. I'm in business to make my 20%. And that's what Trump is missing. He's adding these tariffs to pay off the debt. He's listening to Scott Hamilton, who doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. I think he wants to crash the U.S. Trump is blinded. Oh, we'll get out of the $37 trillion tariff. If you have tariffs, we'll get out of $37 trillion debt. And all he sees is, oh, great, I'll be the president who got us out of the debt. You have no chance, buddy. You have one chance, and that's go buy a shitload of gold that you can't even buy, because you can't, it's not even out there to buy. You have to buy it from China, and they're going to charge you a pretty penny for it. So you don't even have it in. So again, your goal is to buy this. If I'm Canadian Club, it cost me $35 to make it. I got a 20%. That's $7. I got to sell it for at least probably $45, because I got shipping and taxes. And now there's this tariff because it's Canadian. So I got to charge $60. Do I have the market to do it? Will people buy it from me? And that's what Trump's pushing, is the market. The market is set. I'll pay $55 for Canadian Club, and I'll pay $55, but now with your tariff, I got to sell it for $60. Will my market go up to the 60? And that's what these idiots do not understand. Somehow they're in charge and they don't understand basic economics. It's Austrian, which is foreign to everybody. So Walmart has a choice. They either raise prices or they cut workers or they go out of business. Or I believe they're going to move and get out of the U.S. or keep something in the U.S., but go to I think they're going to a different country where the tariffs aren't as bad and they can still make their money, because people still need food. So if they went to Russia and they could still be low cost, they would go to Russia and make it and just sell in rubles or gold-backed currency. So you can see where the stores want to move to BRICS countries where it's gold-backed currency. I'm going to get gold for my prices, not trash. So even if they get this crap here in Michigan, they're getting this. It's still worthless. I told you my story when at Toyota, his friend who runs an auto parts store, every night he would go and take his profits from the day and go buy gold with it. So again, he's not buying Bitcoin. All the central banks are buying gold and silver. They're not buying Bitcoin. Understand why. All right. So really, this is the problem that Trump's creating. Costs go up for the Chinese, so they got to sell it for more to make profit, to be a business. And this is why China's collapsing, because they raised it way so much, nobody can buy their goods. And the real estate crash from Evergrande and the other large building company, where they both fucked everybody and didn't build anything. They took all the money but never built. So they basically went bankrupt, and nobody has a house, so everybody's broke. You can't get taxes. Nobody can buy anything. They're all leaving and living on the street. And everybody except for the vampire can understand that. Oh, that must be COVID. Oh yeah, it's not today. No, these are today's. All right, back to Walmart, but this is going to affect every GM and Ford clothes. How much do you think this is going to be? Right? I bought this. This is a polo. I bought this a long time ago, but it's such good quality. Why throw it out just because it's old? And so, what's a new polo going to cost? Well, you're not going to sell. I'd be shorting my polo stock. How are you going to sell that? You're not going to sell it. Nobody's going to pay $200 for a polo shirt. Not when there's other brand. I can buy Brooks Brothers or Tommy Bahama, and it won't be as expensive if it doesn't come from China. All right, back.
Truth. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, inflation-adjusted prices for food at home rose 2.6% year over year
Which
by
we know
April
is crap.
2025. And over 68% of Trump's rural base shops regularly at Walmart. The criticism ignited online. But for many voters in the Midwest, the more urgent concern was that eggs, diapers, and jeans were suddenly outpacing wage growth. Walmart sources over half its goods from China, and with Trump's reimposed 25% tariffs on those imports kicking in last month, the price hikes were not strategic. They were survival. And yet,
look at the Japanese pink salt recipe that took me from extra large to medium in just a few weeks.
they were survival. And yet, even as prices ticked upward, another question emerged. If Walmart's the villain, why are other retailers following the same playbook? The rhetoric may be political, but the numbers are clinical. According to a 2025 Brookings Institution report, 94% of the tariffs imposed since 2018 were paid by U.S. companies, not foreign exporters. Walmart, operating on a 4.3% profit margin as of Q1 2025, faces a narrowing window to absorb added costs. When those tariffs hit a Chinese-manufactured vacuum cleaner or a toddler's car seat, the surcharge isn't absorbed. It's passed to the end buyer. Bloomberg reports that importers are now paying nearly $12 billion annually in cumulative Trump-era tariffs. Meanwhile, a recent NBER working paper found these costs reduce household consumption by an average of $213 per quarter for lower-income families. Walmart, often seen as the final buffer before economic hardship, isn't dodging duty. It's transmitting Washington's trade bill directly to the checkout line. And that line's growing shorter as shoppers downshift their carts or walk out altogether. But if Walmart can't shield customers, who or what can? Within days of Walmart's public clash with Trump, other giants moved to insulate themselves. Target cut its earnings outlook by 12%, and Best Buy cited external cost volatility as a material risk in its May SEC filing. Walmart, notably, withheld Q2 profit guidance altogether. An almost unheard of move for a firm that generated $648 billion in revenue last fiscal year.
Okay, so you own stocks, correct? Why would they go up? All these companies' earnings are crashing. They can't even make earnings. Their costs have gone up, but they can't pass it on to the consumer. They either do a small cost increase and lay off people. Why would you buy stock in those? Stocks are based on the company growing, not shrinking. What company is growing now? Microsoft? Amazon? No, that's a lot less deliveries. And people are probably going to Walmart instead of getting Amazon because I'm sure they had to raise their costs. Apple, you think they're in China, you think their phone's $1,600. People have $600 for the phone. Oh, wait, Apple TV. You think anybody are going to pay for Apple TV? Everybody just assumes everybody has money for all these stupid channels. And I have Roku, so I have basically Roku and my Pluto and my Tubi, and I have an antenna for the regular channels, and then I have Netflix for Money Heist, basically. Otherwise, I'll get rid of it because it's not worth it. It's the same fucking movies every month. They throw in 2 or 3 new ones, and then they dump 2 or like. And I got Ocean's 11 this month. Yeah, I've only watched that movie 100 times. I mean, but show me a good movie. Let me choose. It should be like Blockbuster, where there's a whole library, and pick what you want to see. Nope, they can't do that. Then they show it, and it's there for a month, and then it leaves. It's better. I got better viewing when I go to Europe on Netflix than I do here. Hi, David. Happy Memorial Day. I did baseball and basketball. Basketball, we're taking Minnesota again today. Baseball, I talked about, but I'll recap it. Gold is being played 33.42. So right now we're talking about Walmart going out or getting hurt, which is going to crash the stock market. And this is why the stock market crashes. A lot of Western countries who have for safe haven their money in the dollar, shows you how bad their currency is, have it in stocks or homes or money in the bank. So once they realize this is worthless, they're pulling it out. Now they're going to see the stock market crash. People don't like to lose money. People don't understand they're losing money if they're not in gold. But with that said, they don't want to lose their money, so they're going to pull, and the stocks are going to collapse. And this is what I've been talking about. Now you can see why. These tariffs are quickening the economy busting and the stock market crashing, and they're going to take their money out of the banks because it's in US dollars, and they're going to do everything they can to get out of US dollars, including mutual funds, annuities, and ETFs. The only hope is to buy physical gold because they can't fuck around with that. But again, most people don't like gold, don't like silver. Oh, it doesn't move. I need something that moves. I need a bubble asset. I need Bitcoin. I need Amazon stock. And they're all going to get burnt because they don't know what they're doing. They don't understand why. They just know that it's going up. So I want to be in Bitcoin because it goes up. And when it goes down, are you still going to want to be in Bitcoin? Do you know when to sell it? No, you don't. You're playing craps. You've hit 8 numbers in a row. Are you gonna finally pull your numbers and say thank you and get the hell out of there? Because that ain't gonna happen again. And this is the problem with people. They don't understand the game, so they can't play it. All right. So back to Walmart. But this shows you if the economy's not growing, because these tariffs stall the economy. This is why they're bad and dangerous. They do not help the economy. Anytime you add costs to the economy, it slows the economy. That's why when people ask me, are we in a recession? I go, we've been in a recession for 3-4 years now, because you've raised cost, right? With interest rates going up. That triggered the first part of the recession, and now tariffs are making it a depression. It's what they do. So if tariffs are making a depression, the last place you want to be is in the stock market. The other last place you want to be is in dollars, because you're inflating them to zero. So that you're killing the value of the dollar. Your interest rates are going much higher. What do you want to do? So you want to get out of that. David, it's like HBO used to be plays the same movies like Netflix. Yeah, all those are. So do you really want to be an Apple? Do you really want to be even in Tubi and Pluto? How many times can I watch Euro Trip? I mean, I love Scotty, but how many times can you watch it? This is the problem. They'll play maybe 10 movies that you like in a month, and you'll watch them, and maybe you watch them twice because there's nothing else. And then, okay, I don't want to watch any of them. I'm actually getting tired of watching between Pluto and Tubi. I'm like, no, I've seen them. So I go into YouTube. The problem with YouTube is you got to keep skipping and skipping. You've got to watch it. Otherwise, you get to an hour commercial or something. So you've got to be attentive on YouTube to actually get to what you're watching. So that kind of kills it. And Netflix is sometimes I watch it because there's no, like when I'm going to bed, I watch Netflix because I just want to go to sleep and I don't want to worry there's a commercial on it and then I gotta click off of it. So Netflix, I've been watching Madoff a few times because it's just it's just talk, and it's not, it's something I can watch because I don't want to get into a movie. Like, it's hard to watch Ocean's 11 and then try to go to sleep, or some of these other movies. I find golf extremely good for going to sleep, but then I got to watch YouTube and all that crap. But yeah, this is the problem. So is everybody going to run into Amazon Prime or Paramount Plus or that? Why are the basketball games on TNT? I can't watch TNT, even if I wanted to, because my cable is Spectrum doesn't carry it. So I can't even watch it if I wanted to. Why would you put something on that Spectrum doesn't carry? And so I can't watch. And I think there's games on NBC or ABC. Like tonight's game, I think's on normal TV. But all the baseball games, I can't name anybody on the Tigers because I don't know what the fuck they look like. I was in the hot tub with one guy today, and I was gonna, are you on the Tigers? Because I don't know what they look like. I mean, because they're not on TV anymore. They're killing their audience. That's why viewers is down in baseball, down in basketball. The only thing is smart enough is football. The majority of their games are on ABC, NBC, and Fox. So you can watch the game. You might miss the Big Ten network or the SEC network, but who cares? Those are usually not the main. Michigan, Ohio State is going to be on ABC, not on Apple. It'll never be on Apple. So football gets it. Put my big games on regular TV where everybody can watch it. All right, back to Walmart.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent,
Loser.
testifying before Congress on May 20th, admitted that tariff pressure has a delayed but direct correlation to consumer pricing models, undermining the administration's claim that foreign governments are footing the bill. According to Morning Consult polling, support for Trump's tariff policy dropped 9 points in swing states over the past 3 weeks. And with Amazon quietly tweaking its pricing transparency while avoiding the tariff debate entirely, the retail sector's message is clear. This isn't politics, it's logistics. But while executives recalibrate, pressure is building inside Walmart's own operations, and the next shock would come from within.
Ladies, pay close attention. You're using salt the wrong way. If your goal is to lose
This
belly
is
fat,
why they hate
use the right
YouTube, even though I'm on it, is all these commercials in the middle of a sentence.
On May 21st, Walmart confirmed it would eliminate approximately 1,500 corporate jobs, focusing on its global tech and Walmart Connect divisions. The company cited agility and modernization as its rationale, but the timing, less than 1 week after Trump's public attack, raised eyebrows. Internal memos obtained by USA Today revealed that these roles, largely based in Bentonville and Seattle, were being cut to streamline decision-making across end-to-end operations. Notably, this comes as Walmart integrates Vizio after a $2.3 billion acquisition to expand its advertising reach, signaling a pivot toward automation and digital monetization. While Nick DeMoss, Walmart's VP of Communications, denied a link between the layoffs and tariffs, former Walmart strategist Mike Kesley told Reuters that cost pressure from tariffs accelerates decisions already on the table. The affected workers aren't warehouse clerks. They're the algorithm builders, the data optimizers, the ones designing the very systems that once gave Walmart an edge. And without them, that edge may dull just as the retail battlefield gets bloodier. Walmart stock fell 3.1% following the layoff announcement and price hike disclosure, wiping out over $9 billion
fall a lot more
in
than
market
that.
cap in a single trading day. Analysts at JP Morgan noted that Walmart's inability to buffer tariff fallout suggests broader consumer demand for agility. Meanwhile,
Inability to handle tariff fallout. What the fuck are they talking? How did you want them to do it? Just raise prices and lose customers, or lay off everybody? There's only two options. That's it, JP Morgan. You cannot do anything else but that. David, they got a football game on YouTube this year for free. Well, okay, but you don't really want to. I'm sure there'll be commercials on it, but you don't want to really watch. It's like they put that one game on the NFL Network or on Prime or Big Ten Network. I mean, they're there, but I'm not going to run out and get the Big Ten Network or Prime or Paramount Plus or NBC Sports to watch one freaking game of Michigan against Minnesota. I mean, it's not Michigan, Ohio State. It's not USC, UCLA, or Alabama, Auburn. It's not a big game, so I'm not going to run out and buy it. I can watch it on YouTube in 20 minutes. I can watch the highlights when they go on, and that's all. I can see what's going on. All we really care about as we're betting them is who won. Did we make money? And we want to watch a little of it to see what happened in the game, just like we do with baseball now. I can't even get a game to watch. I did watch the Tigers around Fox on Saturday, and I loved it when they lost. But I don't. It's only because it was on Fox. So why aren't more games on Fox or some baseball networks where you can watch baseball for free? Because the tickets are really expensive, and I have no desire to pay a pay service to watch a game. You've got to be out of your fucking mind. So again, that's what they got to figure out. A little bit more of this, and then we'll go to Egon. Egon had a
as tracked by the
show
University
yesterday.
of Michigan's index dropped to 68.4 in May, the lowest since January, driven largely by rising retail prices and economic uncertainty. Target's shares slid 2.8%, and Home Depot issued a cautionary note about inventory strain as supply chains readjust around tariff rerouting. Even dollar stores are reporting compression in discretionary categories like home goods and electronics, according to a May 22nd report from Fitch Ratings. The message to investors: if Walmart, a company that moves 37 million transactions per day, can absorb tariff shocks, then the rest of the retail economy is skating on glass. And
Well, this is just normal economics. There's a market. This is what the market will pay. You cannot make costs go this. You cannot raise your prices up here when the market's willing to pay this. No matter who the hell you are, it could be Kentucky Fried Chicken, Mercedes, or Target, or Walmart. Once the consumer will pay this, you cannot just charge them that and think the consumer's going to pay the extra price. We got our bills. We've got so much money. We can't print money out of the air like the government does. And as they devalue the money that we do have, so if you're lucky enough to save $100,000 in the bank, and the government prints to pay the government employees and to pay the debt and to pay the military, you got to pay the $37 trillion on debt. You got to pay $1 trillion. God knows what you're paying in the military and how much waste is going on there. Social Security and Medicaid and all the government employees. So you're printing. So now you're $100,000 in the banks now, 80, 60, and now it's worth about 10,000 of what the value is. Yeah, you still have $100,000, but what's it going to buy? Nothing. Right? That's what people aren't getting. You might have the $100,000. I tell my friend, I go, you got $500,000 in your 401k. It just isn't worth anything. This is what people are having a hard time with. Well, I still have $500k. I still have $100 bill, but it's worth $1. And this is the concept people either don't get or don't want to get. They don't want to hear my $100,000's worthless, but it is. And that's why we buy gold. And then the gold now goes up. So gold's 33.40, right? If you bought it at 2,000, now it's 33.42 or 33.40. Silver will go up eventually once the Basel III kicks in July 1st. Silver and gold will go up dramatically. Gold's been on Basel III in Europe, but it's enough to affect us. But in America, Basel III kicks in July 1st, and then we're going to see all those prices go up. So as the dollar drops, the gold goes up, the silver goes up. It's like one of those teeter-totters, right? When you go down, it goes up, and that's the key. But people don't. They have their $100,000 in cash, and will not understand it just isn't worth anything anymore. I can go to the grocery store. Yeah, go fill your cart that used to cost you $20 and it's going to cost you $300. Tell me how your money's still worth the same, because it isn't. All right. I think we got the gist with Walmart. Let's go to Egon. Egon had his normal show. He does a monthly talk with the German guy. A little hard to understand the German guy, but here's Egon.
ShopSelectBlinds.com Memorial Day sale from May 23rd to May 29th and take 60.
But nevertheless, they dislike gold for the simple reason that gold reveals their ineptitude in managing the economy. Gold is not a consequence of financial turmoil. Ridiculous. Gold is going up as a consequence of the poor management of the economy.
Ladies and gentlemen, another month has passed. Egon von Greyerz is there. Welcome, Egon. The things develop towards the direction we were expecting. Today, big topic, bond market and crazy gold developments. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Jan. Yes, absolutely.
Is that Jan Stenerud?
Discussion we'll have. Bond market, as you say, that's going to determine what's going to happen in the next few months and years, and that looks very, very scary.
Absolutely. And we start with Japan, Egon. Japan always has been the perfect example how long you can keep a country in debt, but eventually it gets to the breaking point, and that seems to be close now. And amazingly, politicians become surprisingly outspoken. But let's have a look at the Japanese bond prices first. Here we have the government bond yields, and we clearly see the yields are rising, the bonds below 100, and this is only the beginning, I think. Here we have the yield of the 10-year bond clearly increasing and moving towards a new high. Here is the 30-year government bonds, now over 3%. And what we always discuss, Egon, the debt to GDP ratio in Japan was the worst of all countries, of all Western or industrialized countries. Here it is. It came a bit down, but I think that will be very much short-lived. And before I ask you for your opinion, Egon, the Japanese Prime Ministry said something really interesting. Japanese Prime Minister Ishibaba said the country's financial condition was worse than Greece, as he rejected calls for tax cuts at a time of rising borrowing costs. According to the International Monetary Fund, Japan's general government debt as a percentage of GDP stood at 234.9% 2025, while it was at 142.2% for Greece. We just saw this graphic with the debt to GDP ratio. It came down a little bit in the past years. I have no clue how they managed to do that. But I think, Egon, we are now in Japan really close to the breaking point. And this bond market, I think, is the first to collapse and an example for things that we can expect in the West also. What's your opinion?
The Japanese economy has just been beyond belief. It's been for a long time, for decades, a disaster waiting to happen. You have an artificially controlled financial system, and with interest rates for a long period being negative. Remember that the 10-year that is now something like 1.5% that you showed in the graph. 2019, it was negative by 0.2 or 0.3%. And Japan could not live with high interest rates because of their just incredible debt to GDP ratio. So I've been surprised for many years that the Japanese economy hasn't crashed yet. But of course, there's been a tremendous government support of credit markets and of stock markets. Remember, they buy all of the bonds basically themselves, the government, and they buy a big portion of all the stocks, also the stock market. So it's a totally artificial economy.
which is exactly what's happening in the U.S. We buy all the bonds, the central bank, we buy all the stocks. That's why when you see the stock go up, it's not the market. This is where your bubble comes in. It's the government pushing it up to say, hey, look how we are. Our stock market's at 41,000. But it's not really, it's not free market. It's not like me selling Tommy Brady and whatever somebody gives me is free market. It's the government printing it, and that's why the market's high. Well, that's not real. That's where the bubble comes from. That's where the Bitcoin bubble comes from. But that's not what's happening in gold and that's silver. And that's why those aren't in bubbles.
And system. And that is just, that part of the coming collapse in the world, which will be led by, remember, be led by bond markets. Bond markets are really the indication of the soundness of the system. And you pointed out Japan, and I'm sure you'll talk about other also economies. Bond markets are now turning up, as I have been saying for the last few years. We saw that in 2020-21, that was the turn of the 30-year cycle of interest rates going down. And that is now going to be a very long, whether it's 10 or 20 or 30 years, nobody knows. But it's going to be a long cycle of rising interest rates, rising inflation, and real problems in credit markets and therefore problems in the financial system. That's what we are expecting to see now in coming years.
Egon, I'd like to add something, because with those increases in the yield of the government bonds, the purchasers, the buyers, become scarcer and scarcer. I read here from an article from Reuters, a lack of buyers at the Ministry of Finance's sale of 20-year JGB bonds on Tuesday resulted
Those
in
are
the
treasury
worst
bonds.
auction results since 2012, according to analysts. More to come. And finally,
Absolutely.
they have to monetize the bonds to the central bank.
Yeah, that's happening in Japan, it's happening in the US, happening in the EU, and in the end, there'll only be one buyer. And when you both issue the debt and buy your own debt, that's just a recipe for disaster. It's only a matter of time before those bond markets collapse.
And that's where we're at. We are buying our own debt, so we're collapsing. Now, you might not agree, or you might be scared or pissing in your pants. You have an answer. You have an out. Buy your gold and buy your silver. That's why we're buying it, because these idiots are running us into the ground. So you've got to be going, okay, and then how do I get off the boat? You're on the Titanic and they're fucking around with the bonds. How do I get off the boat? You get onto the lifeboat, which is gold and silver. It's very simple. Gold's getting a little expensive. I paid $9.25 for a quarter ounce. That's okay. I mean, you got to pay something. Hopefully you bought like we did 3 years ago when it was 1,800 an ounce. And then silver sitting there at 35 an ounce. Just back up the truck and buy as much as you can. And there's silver bars. You can buy 10-ounce bars and 5-ounce bars. And I highly recommend doing that, because it's not going to stay 35 once JP Morgan breaks and COMEX break. They can only hold it so long before they can't hold the price down anymore. Nobody wants a low silver price except for the 8 billion banks who run the government. So what are we going to get? Well, they don't all run our government. Some, like HSBC's, China. There's a couple of European banks. There's a British one. There's a France one who are playing in the gold game, playing in the gold sandbox. So we will see. But that's what's happening. So your out is gold and silver. Now, you're getting out of the dollar before it goes to zero. But more importantly, the gold and silver are going to go up. And that's going to say you're going to go to the grocery store. The dollar won't buy anything. It doesn't buy anything now. That's why I don't understand people who don't understand it. Well, go fill up your cart and it's going to cost you, where it would cost you $20 is now costing you $300. Well, that's the dollar having no value. I mean, it's right there. It's don't take my word for it. Go grocery shopping. All right.
Similarly, also the big elephant in the room, who is over all means indebted, the USA, also moves towards a very similar path, and now they got even a catalyst, and that was the downgrading of the rating by Moody's.
Do you want to know where to invest $1,000 right now?
Gold.
Forget about AI, quantum computing.
Moody's ratings downgraded the United States debt on Friday, stripping the country of its last perfect credit rating. The move could rattle financial markets and push up interest rates, potentially creating an additional financial burden.
So don't ignore this, right? Don't ignore China's going bankrupt. Don't ignore Japan's going bankrupt. Don't ignore Moody's just downgraded their stock. It's all part of the same act. Don't ignore it. Don't ignore our $37 trillion debt. This is my point. Just look at what's happening. And that's our conclusion. Based on all this bullshit happening, you go and buy a shitload of gold and silver because that can't be printed. And that's the only currency that will survive. And that's why we jump into it, because you see all this bullshit that they're doing and there's no hope. The only hope, if I was president, I'd be buying as much gold as I can and making that price go up to 50, 60,000 an ounce. And then I could pay off the debt. That's it. I'm in debt 37 trillion. That's a lot. I got to pay $1 trillion in interest, probably more. The rates have to go up because of inflation. Inflation is not close to 2 or 3%. You can't measure it because it's money printing, but I would say it's about 10,000% because you've got to go back to 1971. What do you mean year over year? Why do I go year over year? That doesn't measure inflation, which I can't measure in prices anyway. All right.
For Americans already struggling with tariffs and inflation. Of the three major credit rating agencies, Moody's was the lone holdout, maintaining its outstanding rating of AAA for US debt. Moody's had a perfect credit rating for the United States since 1917.
Yeah, I wonder who's behind that.
Let's have a
grade.
look at the bond yields here as well. Here we have the 5-year bonds, Egon, and I think they will go through this barrier here at nearly 5%. And the 30 years, very similar. They are already rising today, 5.11%. Which implications, Egon, do you expect? I think under those circumstances, rate cuts are becoming more and more unlikely.
Yeah, let's face it. AAA or AA plus or AA1, I mean, that is just a nonsensical or farcical rating. You know, the US debt is junk, nothing else. It's never going to be repaid with real money. An investor who buys US debt knows that he's going to lose 99% of it because the currency will drop and the value of the bonds will drop. And therefore, I cannot understand anyone buying them, but of course, fewer and fewer people are buying them. Foreign sovereign funds, etc., are not buying them because and the Fed has to buy more and more of its own debt. We know that the debt situation in the world is such, and we've been waiting for this a long time, that this debt will never be repaid. Thus, these bond markets are going to collapse, and I see interest rates going well up to the teens, if not higher. In the end, you know, they could go to infinity because if bonds drop to zero, the rates will be infinity. Of course, there will be a lot of support on the way and hokery-pokery to try to salvage the situation. But there's nothing they can do because once you get past a certain point, with debt markets, it's a point of no return. Consequently, the US has only reached the stage of being able to borrow as much as they can because there's still the reserve currency. They can issue unlimited amounts of debt. But when there's no buyer of that debt, and the only buyer is the one who's issuing the debt, that means that the bonds are worthless. And we're going to see that, Jan. And we're going to see massively higher interest rates. Remember, I saw the 1970s rates when US bond rates were up to almost 20%. And there's no reason why they won't reach that level now for different reasons than the 70s, because then there was much more inflation. Now, it's not that inflation is high, it's just because all the debtors, all the borrowers cannot ever repay the debt. It's a fascinating.
So this is what I say when people say, "Oh, the U.S. can print and print and print, and there's no problem." And that's my point. As you print it, you devalue it. It doesn't have. It's worthless. It's gone 99%. It's worth a $100 bill is worth $1. So yes, theoretically you can keep printing it, but the reality is it doesn't have a value. That's why I argue that you can't just print and print and print. In fact, that's why we're losing value is these idiots are printing. That's why you're on the gold standard, to keep you from printing and making your money worthless, which is the whole idea of an economy, is you have sound money. So you cannot print. You can because they're the reserve currency, I guess, but even that doesn't make sense. And over here, you got BRICS going, oh, we're going to buy gold. Thank you very much. And that's what they're doing. Excuse me. So this is why I vehemently argue about just print, because they're missing what happens when you print. The money has no value, and you're fucked. And that's why we buy gold, because you can't print. So on one hand, you can print it, but at the end, none of it's going to have value, and nobody's going to want it. And when you issue gold from China and Russia and BRICS versus our crap, it's very clear who's going to do it. So it's funny, all these athletes making the 30, 40, $50 million contracts, and they think they have money. They don't have anything. You just signed a $30 million contract. It's monopoly money. You've got nothing. I know I told Bobby to renegotiate his contract and get a million. He gets $1 million a year for a while. I says, ask for gold. Ask the Mets for gold. And he did. And they told him, no way. So Bobby, I said, you get about $100,000 of your $1 million. That's real money. And he's thrilled with that. But take your $1 million and buy gold with it. That's your option. That's your only option. So he's at least smart enough to do it. He's trying to get Barry Bonds to do it, but I don't know if he'll do it. But hopefully they figure it out. But a lot of problems is if I got $10 million, oh, what can happen? It's monopoly money. It's not worth anything. All right, back to Egon.
Situation. This will bring the downfall of the world economy. There's no question about it. Bond markets is the main thing to
Not the
focus
BRICS
on. Stock
side.
markets are only bullish indicators of people speculating, wanting to make money. Bond markets is what tells us what is actually happening in the economy, and what is happening is really dire and very serious for the world. So sadly, Jan, we are going to see see this developing to a horrible downtrend of bonds and very much higher rates and inflation in coming years.
Exactly, Egon. And we know who has the biggest bond books. The banks, of course. So I would even expect another or a real big banking crisis can only be solved temporarily by more printing of money. And somebody who is really smart is smelling a rat already. He sold bank stocks, and what did he buy? Companies that produce alcoholic beverages. I talk about Warren Buffett. Berkshire Hathaway's latest 13F filing reveals it doubled the size of its stake in the owner of the Modelo and Corona beer brands in the United States, while dumping its $1 billion stake in Citigroup. It also reduced its exposure to Bank of America and Capital One Financial. According to JP Morgan estimates earlier this month, Berkshire has stashed $314 billion into short-dated US sovereign debt, roughly equivalent to 5% of the overall bill supply and more than the Federal Reserve itself holds on its books. First of all, Egon, Buffett seems to be really smart. He is smart, in fact, and he knows something with the banks is coming with this bond crisis.
All right, the problem with the banks is not the bond crisis, it's the derivatives in silver. The companies, the banks he mentioned, all have the derivatives in silver, shorting the price of silver at $25 an ounce. It'll never get there. They can never buy it back. They're going to lose billions in these derivatives and options on COMEX, because they're the bullion banks that are shorting, keeping our price low. And that's why the price won't get over 36, because they're sitting there going, we can't, we'll have to cover our $25 derivative options that we've shorted, meaning we want the price to go down so we can buy it, because you've only sold your options, you haven't bought them back yet. In Trading Places, what do you see? Eddie Murphy sells at 142, but he buys back at 42. Well, they haven't done the buyback part yet, these banks. And when they do, they sold at 25, they're going to buy at 35. They're fucked. That's what's happening in the silver market. That's why he's shorting the banks. We understand that. And that's what's going to happen. So until then they're going to go broke. And then you're going to see silver go to $500-$600 an ounce. But that's what we're waiting for. It's got nothing to do. China's not price fixing it. I don't know where Alligator gets this crap from. He's just wrong. Well, thank you, David. Yeah, I know my shit. You should hear my football. Go to my week 1 in football, and you'll really get what's going on. This is why I share these videos, so I can comment on them, and right or wrong. You should promote your channel more. Well, I'd be happy to hear how, David. I'm up to 692 subscribers. I don't know how. I don't really know how to. I know analytically what to do. I don't know how to market, and that's my problem. I should have 100 times the viewers and 100 times the money in my football. I'm picking basketball games. I don't know any players on the team, but I can pick the games because it's psychological. Like yesterday's Knick game. Today, I like Minnesota because they're down 2-1 and they crushed Oklahoma City. And I'm going to bet Minnesota to tie the series. And then I'm going to bet OKC in game 5. And I'm going to bet Minnesota game 6. And I'm going to bet OKC in 7 without knowing any players on the team. Who was this guy who won the MVP of the league? I never heard of the guy. What college did he even go to? So, I mean, that's what I do. Anyway, let's get back to Warren Buffett, because on Mark McGuire's show, there was a guy swearing that Warren Buffett had 2 tons of gold. And I commented, Warren Buffett doesn't understand gold, doesn't have any gold. And here we're going to get the truth from Egon.
He is investing in something that usually does well in crisis times, alcohol and cigarettes, etc.
He should buy Coca-Cola and Pepsi.
From him to move as he did it once, I think 20 years ago with silver, that he would announce to buy gold or gold stocks that would completely destroy the market right away. But he is wise again.
Of course, he's been an incredibly wise investor all the time. I mean, like we are, we're looking at gold as a long-term instrument to preserve wealth and also to enhance wealth. Buffett has never worried about the short term. He doesn't worry about timing either too much, but it's really about buying the right thing at the right price. And that's what he's done all his life, and very successfully with the help of Charlie Munger, who's not dead, sadly, his chairman. So yes, selling a lot of stocks that are going to go down dramatically is a good thing. Buying alcohol, of course, in bad times, people drink more, and especially beer, which is relatively cheap to spirits. People will drink more beer, and that's what they do in a depression or a recession. Of course. As we've discussed before, he should have bought gold instead. He never understood precious metals. And even when he bought silver in the 90s, I understand that he bought it right, but he didn't sell it right because I understand that he had a lot of derivatives against it. So in the end, all the silver went up. He never made money on that position. He's an old-fashioned stock market investor who's done very well. So we have no right to give him advice, but I still would like to tell him, buy gold for heaven's sake. That's much better than holding beer stock or holding government bonds or interest instruments that he's buying, which is not the thing to hold now, in my view. So, but as I said, I have no right to advise him. But still, if he wants to come and buy some gold, we will help him to buy it and store it in the safest place in the world, in the Swiss Alps. So, maybe
In my vault in the Swiss Alps, he can store it. So why did I show that? Because he just said, and I said it first, is Warren Buffett doesn't understand gold or silver. He doesn't have gold. He's in treasuries. Now, my thesis, which is right here, which I've read you before, this is my thesis, 1995. All right. In my thesis, as the interest rates go up and the inflation goes up, you buy Coca-Cola, you buy Pepsi, you buy Hershey's, you buy inexpensive food because everybody must eat. And you're going to not buy is cars and things that are high fixed. That's my thesis. So if anything, I would have bought Coke and Pepsi, not alcohol. Yeah, everybody needs to drink, but you're going to drink Coke and Pepsi. Now, that was in the 90s. So now Coke and Pepsi aren't really that healthy for you, but they do have water drinks. But it's the cheap stuff. It's the $1, $2, or $3, $4 stuff. And those are the stocks you buy when interest rates are high, you're in a recession, you're in inflation. You certainly don't want to be in bank stocks, especially when they're all going to go bye-bye with this whole derivative blow up based on silver going, getting over 35 and it's gone. And then you got to dump your $25 derivatives, which is going to cost you millions of dollars or billions of dollars. So let me go back to Mark McGuire. I don't think I have him. I don't think I saved it. Mark's in my other section. And this is why I get upset at some of these idiots. All right, here it is. This is Mark McGuire's Friday show with some idiot on there.
Did you know you can pee out type 2? Yes, and that's something many people don't know. The real cause of...
You could not stress how critical.
Okay, so here's my comment. This is my comment on Mark McGuire. Where did you find this guest? Oh my God, he was terrible. We just want Andy's comments, which we do. Buffett has no physical gold or silver, just ETFs. He will be broke. Laugh. Now, this is 3 days ago. This is before Egon, but I know searching how much physical gold and silver does Warren Buffett have is none. He doesn't like gold. So now we get to this idiot. And we'll listen to what he says. Well, I'll have to read in here. This guy's some professor, and you're just scratching your head going, where did you get this idiot from? See, you're coming to watch me, right? You're not. If I had a guest on, if Bobby's doing this, you don't want to listen to Bobby. Well, at least not about economics, but you would for baseball. But you came to watch me. So when I'm watching Mark McGuire, I don't want to hear this idiot professor and you'll listen to him and you go, what an idiot. Let's see. So he's talking a lot about Buffett, which I don't really care, and I don't really want to listen to Buffett. I don't think he's that smart. I mean, he just buys like 1 million shares of banks, but the banks are all losing it. Let's see. Let me get to. There's a spot where he says Warren Buffett has at least 2 tons of gold. This is near the end, I believe. I don't know. I won't be too long with this. He's kissing Warren Buffett's ass, which you never see me do. Let's see. Just a second. Well, I'm getting near the end, I think. Anyway, the guy says Buffett has 2 tons of gold, which is just, and you just heard from Egon, he doesn't. Well, I'll find it next time. But anyway, this is why you got to be careful who you're listening to. This guy, oh, Buffett's got 2 tons of gold and da 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 da. It's hard to listen to this guy. He's just not very smart. I don't know. Like I said, don't listen to Mark McGuire. This guy was an idiot. Yeah, just a second. Sorry, I heard Egon say that, so that's why I wanted to counter it with the bullshit of this guy. Out. All right, I don't know. Anyway, this idiot said Trump that he's got 2,000 tons, and Egon just said he doesn't have any. And I agree with it. And that's the thing. He doesn't understand it. And that's where we really go into everybody not understanding what gold is. I mean, here's Buffett. What's he doing? He's putting his money in T-bills and he's selling his bank stocks to put his money in T-bills and buy an alcoholic company. What was that? The Corona. He's buying Corona and he's buying T-bills. So he's buying things that are going to go down in value. Corona, how much is it going to be? It's still in dollars. Why isn't he just buying gold and silver? Because he's an idiot. This is my point. It's very simple to understand gold and silver. Why people struggle with it. I'd rather be in stocks or Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the ultimate bubble because it has no value and people are buying it for the fact that it's going to go up. So they're just the hope and they want to get in before it goes too high. Before it hits 150,000, everybody's rushing in. It's not even real. So don't get trapped into that. Just stay in gold, buy silver for $35 an ounce. Go back up the truck and buy a ton of that. There you can't go wrong. So I really don't understand why anybody would go into Bitcoin. Okay, so you buy it at 110,000. Where are you going with it? Oh, it's going to go to 200,000. And you know this why? And this is why I object. It's not real. It has to be, it's a Ponzi scheme. So only way it goes up if other people buy it. And right now, a lot of people are buying gold and silver. So understand that. So if you're in Bitcoin because you think it's 100,000 and 110,000, it's going up to 2. Why is it going up again? Please tell me. That's a bubble. That's going to crash hard, as will the stock market. So keep that in mind. Those are just bullshit that really have nowhere to go. So we've got the dollar crashing. We've got inflation at a much higher percent than 2 or 3%. Again, that's year over year on only a selected few items. Well, wait a minute. Coca-Cola went from $1.59 to $2.99 to $3.56. That's a lot more than 2%. 159 to 3 is almost 100%, and 3 to 360 is another 20%. So how is that 3%? In what world is there 3%? And you can't show me because eggs have gone up, milk has gone up, cereal, Oreos, and year over year, again, they raise the price and then they go, well, 2 for 1. You want Coke? It's 2 for $5. My dark chocolate went from 2 something to now it's $4.40. So I bought the dark chocolate from Walmart. That's $2.50. That's Swiss. It just isn't Lindt or Cervalde. And that's the thing. So you want stuff like this because this is not in a bubble. So basically, if it's not in a bubble, buy it. Buy a Rolex because those are going up because of demand, not because of the fake bubble, not because people are buying it to make money. This is just the value. What will you give me for this? Oh, you give me 30 grand for it? Fine, you can have it. Yeah, there's only 399 of them. It's extremely limited. I like how it says serial numbered. Yeah, it says serial numbered, number 22 out of 399. Too bad it's not his jersey. I think his jersey with 12. Anyway, that's what you're looking to do. Those are smart investments because they're not going to drop because they're going up based on demand. If things go up based on demand, that's the real price. Gold's real price is what's happening now. It's not in a bubble. So be careful. The point of the Warren Buffet with the Mark McGuire guy, him saying he's got 2 tons, he's really smart, he knows gold, is all a lie. He doesn't know gold. He's not in gold. Egon said the truth. He's out of banking. He's into Corona and he's in T-bills. He didn't buy any gold. Egon said, I don't know why the guy doesn't buy gold. He should buy gold. So I'm going to trust Egon, not the other guy. And that's my point. The point is be careful who you trust. I got an idiot vampiring me in the sauna as saying that gold's in a bubble. The Roman Empire was 1,700 years. No, it was 700 years. Inflation's only 3%. The dollar has lost 99%. No, the dollar is fine. I mean, it's like if you listen to him, you would be getting huge, terrible information. And that's why I say be careful. You want to get proper information. That's what I give you, real information, the truth of what's really happening. The guy who gives you, oh no, there's no, and the Romans were 1,700 and gold's in a bubble and da 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 da, is the guy you need to stay away from. So that's why you got to be very careful. If you go to a financial planner, my first question is, what do you think of gold? Which he's not going to want because he doesn't get commission on it. So you can't go to a financial planner and trust him that he's giving you the truth. You want a retirement account? Buy gold and silver. That's your retirement. Because if you put it in stocks or anything else, it'll be bankrupt because the dollar's gone. If you ask him about inflation, he'll say it's 3%. Oh, really? And do you know what inflation is? It's prices going up. So once they start, they're not lying to you. They just don't know. They're just stupid. So once you have that, then you get up and you run out. You don't walk out. You don't shake his hand. You run out going, this guy's a fucking idiot. And you're only going to get the truth from somebody like me who has no skin in the game with you, who's only trying to help you, who knows the truth, who doesn't get commission if I put you in gold. But I'm not putting you in gold for the commission. I'm putting you in gold to save your ass. And that's what you got to realize. These guys will put you in gold and will not put you in gold and silver, put you in stocks or mutual funds because they get commission on it. There's a scene in The Big Short where they go down to Florida and the alligator scene, and then whatchamacallit goes down. Who's the guy? Whatever, I don't know. He goes down and he starts asking him about the prices in Florida. And then he says, well, what do you put? You know, these are the brokers, right? What do you put your guys in? And the guy says, well, I could put them in regular fixed accounts, but I get $5,000. I get a $5,000 bonus if I put them in adjustable rate mortgages. So he puts them all in adjustable rate mortgages for the $5,000 or the $10,000 or whatever he was making on it. And that's the point. That's what these guys do as your financial planners, put you in stocks because they get the bonus and they don't get anything if they put you in gold and silver. And that's the thing. Maybe they'll put you in an ETF, but that's not what you want. You want physical gold. Go drive to my guy's store and go stock up on gold and silver. That's what you want. That's what you really need is the truth, because you don't know, because they don't teach you this stuff. Fortunately, I got taught. I happen to be in an Austrian economics school. It's a very big business school in Michigan, and it's accounting and finance and Austrian economics, which I didn't know existed. I did not know Austrian. I didn't know there was a difference. All you're taught is economics and like calculus, and there's Keynesian and Austrian. And that's it. Keynesian's communism. And most of the people in the government and you hear on YouTube are Keynesians because they'll say you can print all the money. There's no problem. Oh, you don't want gold and stay in stocks. And everybody's going to go down and crash. Just like 2008. I didn't lose a penny. Some guy asked me, how much did you lose in 2008? I didn't lose a penny. I'm barely in the market because I know it's corrupt. I make my money betting football and buying gold coins, and I'm buying this in 2008, right? So I'm not in any way in the stock market because I don't trust it. Like I said, the only reason I was in it was to buy gold at 10:30 and sell it by 4 o'clock. That was it. So I'd buy Newmont Mining, 1,000 shares at 10. As soon as that algorithm started kicking up, I'd buy it, and then by about 233 as it's boom and now it's starting to fall, I get out, and I might make 60 cents in the day times 1,000 is $600. That's fine. I'll be back tomorrow for another 600. And occasionally it'd go up $2, and then I'd make $2,000. So it was, but every day, and every day 10 o'clock, 10:30 up, and just algorithm it, and the algorithm's not going to lie. So once it starts going up, it's going to go up, and you see it all the time. And that's how I played stocks. I did not play it. You see how I invest in the sports cards. You see the players I get: Brady and Bobby Hull and Bobby Orr and Joe Montana and Clemente and Mays and Aaron. I showed you all those guys. Mantle. You got to be smart. You got to understand what demand is, and that's what you got to follow. What does people want, and that's what you get in. And that's what's happening with Bitcoin. People want Bitcoin, but it's not real. That's why I don't play it. Yes, the demand's in, but it hits 111. I don't know what to do with it. Let's take a look at what Bitcoin's doing today, and then we'll go to the beach. Where is that 2,000 tons? I'm sure I'll find it. Oh, here it is. Beautiful. All right, I'll go back to 59. All right, we'll go here.
It's gone backwards. We don't have the technology to do this. That's the whole point. That's what I'm saying. That's what gold creates. It creates this kind of humanity, of creativity. And here is a kind of ironic example of where our technologies have failed us horribly. Ultimately, in any reasonable world, do you want to settle your transactions over a 3-day period where who knows what can happen? Or do you want to settle them in a 7-second period? I mean, is it a question? It's not a question. It's a rhetorical question.
And delivery is guaranteed. It's not T plus 8 weeks if I go and try and, because they can't deliver it to me. I want physical gold, I want physical silver. It's weeks and weeks out. Or, and technically it should be T plus 1, it'll be T plus 0, because the physical gold bars were already in the vault. They didn't have to run out and buy them afterwards. And therefore you would swap that. So 7 seconds to settle the transaction. Now you've got both in the vault. And it's just shoving it across the floor. Not all this rubbish about where's the jurisdiction that it's held in. Okay, so now we've got to take an EFP out of the COMEX. Now we've got to take it out the back door, put it in the NSFR compliant, Basel III compliant FX markets, where technically it's T plus 1 deliverable, and it is to the likes of China, but it's not T plus 1 deliverable to an ordinary person. And so
it is T plus 1 deliverable to probably Warren Buffett. And if I had to guess, I guess, coming back to where I started, I'm guessing, okay, and I would give odds on it. I would even give, I'm not saying I'd give 10 to 1, but I would give maybe 3 to 2. The guy is sitting there with 2,000 tons of gold. That's about $200 billion worth of gold on his balance sheet. Now, he may have leased it out to the JP Morgans of the world, because right now, JP Morgan, if they want to make a loan, all the collateral that they're going to have with all the gold or whatever they have on their balance sheet that they call gold is maybe 20%. With actual gold on their balance sheet, it's 100%. The collateral, it's risk-free, and they're going to need it, because without that, the whole system is going to blow up.
Yeah, we know the system's blowing up. I'll take those odds. So he thinks Warren Buffett's got 2,000 tons of gold. This guy out of his fucking mind. And that's why I played Egon for you. What did Egon say? He doesn't have any gold. He's not in the gold. He's got it in treasuries, and he's got it in the beer. This guy sitting there like he knows it all, and he's just nauseating to listen to. And I listened to some of it, but when he said that, you got to be fucking kidding me. Warren Buffett doesn't have any gold. Well, he might have leased it out to JP Morgan. And again, this is gold on his balance sheet, which means it's not physical. It's probably ETFs or stocks, but he's not leasing that out. So he does not have 2,000 tons of gold. This guy is out of his fucking mind. I don't know what he's doing with Warren Buffett, making him sound good. Okay, I'm going to get to what I promised, which is let's just look at gold. It is, see, the market must have closed at 2 o'clock. So right now the market's flat, 33.42. Jesus Christ. And you can see no activity. So they must have went home now for, but the market isn't closed because it's still open, but there's no trading because of Memorial Day. So the market closed at 2. I thought it wouldn't be open. 33.42, silver 33.48. Yes, it's close to 100%. This will stay till about 6 o'clock, and it's 4, so another hour, and then China comes in. Now, China's been a little disappointing. They haven't really been buying it. Hopefully they buy it now, and we get to 3,400 today, because the U.S. actually bought, so that's a good sign. So, what's Bitcoin at, you ask? I said, but it's not worth anything, and you don't care. Bitcoin is 109. Wait a minute, it was 111. Why is it at 109? And it looks like it's up. So it's up for the day. That means it was under 109. We got up to 111 and then about 107 and then well, what's the price of it? I don't know. I know the price of the Montana rookie is 110,000. I don't know the price of Bitcoin, but here, okay. So here's my bigger question. Bitcoin's at 110. Let's look at Solana. That's a crypto, and that price is $175. Wait a minute. That's 109,000. This is $175. What the fuck? Let's look at another Bitcoin. Let's look at Ethereum. That's the second one in there, and that's at 2,500. Wait, why is Bitcoin 110,000 and this one's at 2,500? Why aren't they all at 110,000? Because they're not real. And this one at 25, you're going to buy this at 2,500? Is this going to go to 110,000 too? There's no fucking way, because none of them are real, and that is the problem. That's what you need to understand. Why is Bitcoin 109 in the first place? So Bitcoin's 109 and none of the others are anything. Well, why wouldn't all of them? It'd be like, well, wait a minute. GM is this. Why is Ford down here? Why is Honda here? Why is Mercedes? Why aren't they all having good prices? And that's the problem, right? So these other cryptos are all Ponzi schemes, and Bitcoin is not. That's real. Does that make any sense? No. So Bitcoin's not real. Why is Bitcoin not at 2,000? Because it's fixed. It's being led up by the Russian mafia and Larry Fink and Michael Saylor, and they're the ones manipulating it. And you're going to get fucked if you're in it, because you don't know what it is, you can't see it, and you don't know what the real price is. You don't even know what it is. At least Tom Brady, I can see. Can you imagine? This has 399. Is this limited? Well, Bitcoin's got 21 million. That's more limited than a Tom Brady rookie card, 399. Come on, fellas. That's my argument about 21 million being limited. No. 399 on a Brady rookie card is limited. I'm sure there's not, if this is a 10 or a 9, there's not a lot of Bobby Orrs that are, and this is much more limited. So nobody really knows what Bitcoin is. They don't know. They'll say 21 million. How do you know? It isn't real. It's just a black box. This is a Bitcoin. Don't you see it? It's thin air. But it's 111, 109,000. I want to buy it. Okay, and when do you get off? Let's say you buy it now. You're going to buy it now at 109. Is it high or low? Don't know. Exactly. And that's the problem. You don't know what a good value of a Bitcoin is, so you shouldn't be buying it because you don't even know what you're buying. You're much better off buying a Jordan rookie card for 500 grand. At least you know what you got. At least you can hold it. You can put it in your safe. And at least I can hold this and I know what I have and I can sell it to you and you can see it. Versus this digital crap. I don't trust any digital money. The fact the internet is digital, which I don't know if it's digital or electronic, I can see it. I'm on the internet. So therefore I see. I'm on YouTube. I see it. I go into my Gmail. I see it. I go onto my Teaserking site. I can see it. So it's not like it's digital. I can't see it. This is the point. So be very, very careful with Bitcoin. I know, Luke, you sold it early. Okay. At the end of the day, talk to me when the game's over. Don't talk to me in the third quarter. Alex does that to me. He goes, "Oh, they're not looking too good. They're down 14-0." I said, "Alex, talk to me when the game's over." And then our team would win 28-14. And I'd say, "See, I don't want to hear that it's a bad beginning. I want to hear the good ending." Yeah, at the end of the game, is it 14-0? No, then shut the fuck up. We don't care. I don't care what happens the first couple of series. I just want to see how the game's going. And then I go, okay, we're going to win because of that. But I never like when they're down 14-0. Well, go bet that live play you like betting. Bobby did that in the Super Bowl when Frisco had a 10-0 lead on KC. He dumped a lot of money on KC, and KC, of course, won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And we knew what was going to happen. Mahomes is going to win it because he's Mahomes. And you're not going to beat Mahomes. So he did win it, and that was the point. So he did good. David, let me know how to promote my channel, and I'll be happy to do it. I agree. Marketing would be wonderful. I'm trying to get money from YouTube, but I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't gotten a penny from them yet, so I'm trying to figure that out. So anybody who knows how to pay for the advertisements and get money from YouTube, let me know. But they don't really explain to you what to do. Oh, advertise on YouTube, you can make money. Okay, how? And people are good to tell you to do it, but not tell you how to do it. Anyway, that's about it. Happy Memorial Day. Go enjoy. We got basketball tonight. We got the baseball, and I'm going to go eat and go to the lake just to take a walk and relax on that. Anyway, that's about it. Daria should be home, but I didn't hear from her today. She had the surgery, and it, I guess, went okay. So her face was swollen. I told her to ice it, so I think she did that. Yesterday, she sent me a picture, and it looked much better. And that's about it. I already did the swim. They close early on the holidays. I don't know why. Avoid vampires. Don't get in arguments with people who don't understand gold and don't tell you to get into gold, right? If you say buy gold and they say, no, I'm in the stocks, just walk away. Unless it's a family member, then change the subject to baseball or something. Because you can't win with them because they don't want to be wrong. They don't want to know they're broke. So they're not going to tell you this. They're going to basically say, oh, I'm in stocks. I'm in my 401k. And you're saying, but the dollar's worthless. The dollar has no value. Your 401k could be $1 million. It's zero. And there's nothing you can do. You just shake your head at them. Anyway, that's what's going on. So have a good night. I'll be on tomorrow normal time. I was only on because the pool closed early and I had to go do that first. So go enjoy. Happy Memorial Day, and let's go make some money. All right, www.teaserking.com. I hope you like my new thumbprints or whatever of my picture on my video. I can now do it on my phone. I got a lot of Italy pictures, so that's what you see a lot of is Positano on the thumbprint, but and then some other nice shots of the water there. There's one with that we're at the beach, and there's a lot of fucking rocks, and it hurt like hell. But anyway, if I left my shoes on, I could walk on it. All right. Have a good day, everybody. Enjoy your holiday. Enjoy your gold and silver, and buy more and more and more. All right. Thank you very much.